Hi, everyone. We are going to be going live here in just a few minutes. So look out for the 35 past the hour as our start time.
Hi, Katie.
Hi there. How are you, Patty?
I'm good. And Matilda and me were having we need to turn off mic from somewhere else. Yeah. Okay. So we were having keynote sessions. We were talking about the in-house activities. We have introduced you in your absence, and we will be doing again to introduce you. And thank you so much for everyone to be here. We will be sharing the recordings of these meetings, and this session is already online on YouTube because we have heard some of the friends are unable to join Zoom, maybe because of, I don't know, they don't have their account or something like that, but we have removed that requirement. And to get the certificates and all those things, please put your name and email here in this chat. So it would be recorded, and we will be sending you participation certificates after the event. Yes, over to Matilda. She can continue with the proceedings of keynote and then hand over to Katie. Please.
I think everyone's back. We're just waiting for Dr. Mackey, I believe, and a couple of other people.
Yeah, we can wait for our speakers. Hector was with us, Dr. Mackey, a few minutes before. Maybe you can join again.
Thank you to everyone who came back on time. Much appreciated.
We can see Dr. Maimuna Khan is here. Yes, we do have another person. We are waiting for Dr. Dave. Okay, we have Dr. Mackey with us.
Excellent. Did we? I think so.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, in that case, I will hand over to Katie. If there is anyone new in the audience, I will reintroduce Katie now that she is here. Katie has a BA in history and an MA in teaching from the University of South Carolina. And she is the founder of Learner Centered Strategies, a consultancy focused on accessibility and inclusion in informal education spaces. And she founded that in 2023, which I think is incredible. She has been an ambassador for Museum Week USA since 2022. A lot of accolades coming here, by the way. In 2020, she was recognized as Emerging Museum Professional of the Year by the Southeastern Museums Conference. And also in 2022, she was awarded for her initiatives in technology, as well as diversity, equity, access, and inclusion by North Carolina Museums Council. So, as I said, she is quite a force of nature, and she is an incredible person in the space. She is also one of our fantastic speakers. She'll be in the third session. So I am so thrilled to be able to hand this over to Katie. You'll all be in very safe hands. And then, of course, I look forward to listening to her presentation. So everyone, yes, here's Katie, and take it away.
Thank you, Max. I appreciate it. It is still morning time where I am geographically located, so I'm going to say good morning to all of you. I am here for just to moderate the conversation. This is not a space that I am well versed in, so I am thrilled to learn with each and every one of you. We're going to have 4 speakers. They're going to have a few minutes to introduce themselves, give a pitch, a thesis that they have prepared, and then we have some questions prepared. So for any of you that are joining on Zoom, you're welcome to put them in the chat, and I will work with the Safe Cultural Heritage group to field those and work those in as well. We do kindly ask that you keep your mic and your cameras off unless you are a speaker, so that we are set to go. And first up, I do think I saw Dr. Mackey come in. So Dr. Mackey, you are in fact first to give your 5 to 10 minute spiel, if you will. And then next up is Dr. Khan, just so we know the order.
Brilliant. Shall I start? Go ahead. Yeah, okay. Great to meet you all. Thank you to the organisers, particularly Ibrahim, who I have a working relationship with now on a project that we have applied for the British Arts Council. And this project is what I'm going to talk to you about today. And so my history is, or not, my professional history is in sociology and political theory, and I work in a public health context. But, within that, I'm a researcher. And I think, the kind of the critical questions that researchers face in every field are applicable, and I think there's a need for kind of multidisciplinary understandings of these critical questions. And I'm interested. I heard from Matilda talk today, and the language around navigating and thinking through decolonization and what that means for people in Australia or in the UK or in Pakistan. It's important for us to share our ideas, and that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to talk to you about the project that Ibrahim and I have worked on and some of the strategies we have employed to reduce some of the power dynamics. And the project, which I'm just going to briefly describe, is an arts-based project where 5 artists from a small remote island in the northwest of Scotland are going to visit Pakistan and spend 2 weeks there engaging with cultural practices, artistic workshops, and meeting different artists. And 5 artists from Islamabad in Pakistan will hopefully come to the Isle of Skye in Scotland. And across the application and across the process, I think especially on the UK side, we've been having conversations about how to not reinforce some of the historical colonial dynamics that are within kind of geopolitical development work, which is what we're doing. Like, we're trying to ensure that artists in both Scotland and in Pakistan experience some professional development. So the four things that I'm going to share with you today are, the first thing is translation. We have called this a methil Cayley. So Cayley is a Gaelic word, and methil is, if Ibrahim would like to jump in and tell me a bit more about methil and the kind of the etymological history of that word. But what we're not doing is we're not translating either of these words into English, because we are acknowledging, or trying to acknowledge and gesturing towards, this intranslatability of culture into dominant language. So we're trying to, like, keep the distance between the fact that we're obviously doing this we're communicating in English, but we're trying to recognize and kind of keep safe some of the historical traditions that we're going to be empowering through this project. And one of them is through not translating words into English, because if we do that, those words will lose some of their nuance, complexity, individuality that we want to kind of keep sacred within the project. So I would challenge you all, I guess, to think about not translating language. Like, are we willing to kind of leave linguistics alone and respect kind of difference, respect unknowing, respect pluralism, and, you know, a diverse future. The second thing that we have talked about is so community space and the arts. And I know I think session 3 is about museums, and our project is about ensuring that community are engaging with this project every step of the way. So, you know, the actual events themselves are going to be held in people's homes. We're very conscious of the arts and practices in arts, and this may be the same in archaeology, where kind of the knowledge around arts is becoming professionalized, it's becoming inaccessible, it's become available to a certain group of people who have access to it. So by hosting the events in people's homes, we're trying to blur those lines and ensure that community members and all people think that they can participate in the arts and actually make art. And it's not just the people who have been to art school or who have studied it from a young age or who have paid to go into museums. So that's another power dynamic that we're engaging with. Another one is social issues. We know that you know, gender is something that we are centering as a kind of a social engagement point within our project. We recognize that the gender issues in Pakistan are very different from the gender issues in Scotland. And we're not trying to impose any kind of way forward for the different countries. Obviously, we're discussing it from our perspectives, but we're not saying to, you know, people in Pakistan, like, have you thought about doing this? And we're not expecting people in Pakistan to say to Scottish people how, you know, you should perhaps think about gender in this way. We are trying to acknowledge that, you know, the social politics needs to be led by people in their communities rather than outsiders. So, you know, that's another critical issue. Like, the social issues that we are engaging with, we're doing separately. So we're not trying to homogenize, you know, political idealism across the globe or within this project. And that leads to the final point, which is about paternalism. And the money has come from the British government, and there's obviously, you know, we have a set of expectations within our group about what we want as the outcome of the project, and what kind of artists we want, how we want to work with one another. And we don't want, we have, we're now at the stage where we're having to pull ourselves back from asking artists to do things in a certain way, and across the countries as well. Like we're not imposing our own understandings upon each other, and we want artists to be creative, to be to explore their own practice in their own way, just like, and that's like in international as well. We want the Pakistan group to explore things in their own way, and we want the Scottish group to explore things away. So like moving away from like the British exceptionalism, and understanding that again we're reiterating this need for sovereignty and difference to be respected. And then I guess just to conclude, I think that's about 10 minutes, is there was an instance in the UK that has, I guess it was on the front page of the BBC, where in Archaeology they realised that the Stonehenge, which is probably Britain's most historical site, most well-known historical site, that the stones were from a different part of the UK than they originally expected, and that much further away. They had travelled much further distances. And I think there's got to be an effort to be constantly reflecting on the kind of like conservative push that is like put upon researchers and academics. And I think that mistake about how far the stone had travelled was a kind of a contextualization of the understanding of like politics in the moment now, where we think that immigration has only been existing for the last 300 years or 400 years, whereas actually it's been international exchange and international cooperation has been happening for millennia, rather than this understanding that it's only like a recent phenomenon. That's it. That's for me.
Thank you, Dr. Mackey. That's so fascinating. I can't wait to dig into some of the questions I was jotting down as we were listening to you. I do apologize. I failed to read your bio before I just said, here, have fun with this. But Dr. Mackey, he works in radical theory, public health, and creative and artistic approaches to research and interacting with the world. He was recently awarded his doctorate from the University of Toronto, with his thesis focusing on politics of knowledge, and needing the more creativity in society. So I know we will dig more into what all of that means with our questions and the thoughts you posed. I do want to transition to Dr. Khan. And Dr. Khan, I do believe you have a presentation, which is live on YouTube. So you are welcome to click over to it, and that will take about 10 minutes. And so everyone then can go watch and come back in 10 minutes, which will be 01, just past the top of the hour, 02 now. I will start the introductions. I believe I read that right. Now I'm second guessing it. Okay, yes, I read that correctly. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is still morning here. I do apologize. So I dropped the link in the chat to the YouTube video for Dr. Khan.
Will Ibrahim play? Ibrahim, are you there?
Yeah, it's being played.
Okay, thank you. It is not visible. Thank you, Simone.
Thank you so much for that video, Dr. Khan. In the interest of time, I do want to go ahead and play another video, which is from Zarin Gull. Unfortunately, they're not able to be with us in person. So another link will be dropped in the chat to that video.
But it is not fully played. Many parts.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Many parts were cut down. So the continuity. Moreover, some words like it was written root, rather it was the root. Arabesque were arabesque. So the written part of the that was running downwards, the written part, it had a lot of mistakes in that. I should have presented live.
I'm so sorry about that. I know the corrections will be fixed for the recording. Just so, because the audio I know wasn't necessarily playing for everybody. I just dropped Zarin Gull's link into the chat so that we can watch that one. However, Fadi, it looks like the video is set to private. So if you're able to switch that, or Max, able to switch that to a public view. I just needed to refresh. Thank you so much. So in the couple of minutes that we're waiting for that video to play, I just want to read Zarin Gull's bio for you. So she submitted with the ethical concerns of representation and cultural practices, international art and design residency at Taxila as a case study. So Zarin Gull is a visual artist and educator, renowned for her innovative work in art and technology. She graduated from the National College of Arts in 1993, master's in graphic communications from Kingston University in the UK in 2004, with a focus on multiple mediums, including painting, printmaking, photography, video art, and augmented reality. Zarin has made significant contributions to the contemporary art scene. She is a pioneered female video artist in Pakistan, gaining recognition for her exhibitions both nationally and internationally, including in the US, UK, France, Germany, and South Korea. She currently is serving as university professor and the founder of, I'm so sorry, I'm going to mispronounce this, Kiradar Studios. So we have about 31 seconds until the video plays, and then we will come back together and we will hear from Sarthak Dave. Wonderful. So we do have our fourth presenter, who I do believe I saw hop on. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Sarthak David. I apologize, I mispronounced your name. He's an unconventional psychiatrist in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, India. Is a mental health maverick and social media influencer. He holds an MD in psychiatry from BJ Medical College, Ahmedabad, and an MBBS from CBKS, MINRC. So I'm going to stop there. So Dr. Dave, you can share your introduction and your thesis approach to our archaeology of heart. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Dave, you are still on mute.
I'm so sorry. That's stupid of me. Yes. So, yeah, hi. My name is Dr. Sarthak Dave, and I'm a psychiatrist. I am basically from a city called Ahmedabad. That's in the state of Gujarat. That's in India. And yeah, thank you for the introduction. So, this is something that we are gathering for to talk about the archaeology and the impact of mental health and things regarding mental health on those things. There's certain things that we were supposed I would like to discuss. That the first question that I think we had was that how do I define and understand human emotions from a medical perspective? This is an amazing thing, I would say. uh, uh, this is one of the best things. Humans, the emotions that we have, I would consider that human mind or human emotions are as good as an independent human organ. They are so significant and so powerful that they can decide what exactly do we feel in different parts of our body, that can decide the symptoms that we might have, that we can have in the presence or absence of any medical condition, any organic condition, that decides the amount of pain that we might go through if we are having any painful condition, like let's say a fracture. That decides how we are going to exactly perceive the events happening around us. It decides how we feel about ourselves, about the people around us. It also decides how we are going to live our life. And how we are going to express ourselves, express by making things, express by depicting, by showing things, by building things uh, across throughout our life. And that decides, that makes who we are. So from a medical perspective, like I said, human emotions cannot be considered anything other than a human organ. They are that significant in themselves. And the 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 related thing being, how do I think exploring emotional landscapes in the ancient world can shed light on modern mental health and well-being. See, human race we have had our mind from the very beginning. We have only evolved because of the experiences that we've had, but the mind has always been there with us. It's only through our brain, through our mind, that we've been evolving. We've been learning things that the whole race has been learning throughout their experience, throughout their whole cycle of adaptation, throughout their whole journey of millennia. So whatever we are building, we are kind of expressing whatever we are making on this planet. We are kind of expressing, we are projecting whatever it is in our mind. We are projecting maybe love, maybe jealousy, maybe anger. And we are projecting, sometimes we're projecting power. Sometimes we would like to project jealousy. And sometimes we would like to project our audacity. And these are independent. All of these are actual emotions. And these emotions, whenever they come in our mind, they are so powerful that we need to channelize them. There's this particular defense mechanism that goes by the name of sublimation. Whenever there's a crisis situation occurring, or whenever there's a lot of things happening in our life, we build a lot of energy is built inside us, is evolving, is growing inside us. And if we do not channelize it in the right direction, in a way that kind of helps us grow, helps people around us grow, then it will implode. So sublimation is the process through which you are able to utilize that energy and build something and grow something, create something, so that you or people around you grow. And that's called sublimation. It's a very healthy defense mechanism, sublimation. And it is maybe through sublimation, through one of these healthy defense mechanisms that human race have throughout ancient times, through thousands of years, built things. It's our frustration, maybe it's our anger that has made us grow, that has made us build so many things, that has made us look for so many things, look for comfort. Maybe when we were building for when the human being was building a wheel. So I would absolutely say that the human emotions have played a very, very significant role. And even when we see something that's being built, that was created by human beings of ancient times, human beings of a different continent, it kicks in a lot of emotions inside us. So emotions being a very significant part, emotions, I believe, play a very, very significant, very major role throughout all the civilizations, throughout across all the continents, across all the decades, centuries, in creating things, in developing things, in making things. So yes. And there was this another thing that I was asked, that how does it relate to my work as a psychiatrist and as a social media influencer? See, when I come to I'm sitting in my clinic right now, and whenever I come to my clinic, I meet different people from different kinds of social economic strata, and everybody, they are going through something or the other. And everybody, there's this particular symptom which applies in all the mental illnesses, which is what we call socio-occupational impairment or functional impairment. It affects whatever they are doing. It affects whatever they are doing professionally. So it is my job to identify, it is my responsibility to help them realize that if they would first initially deal with the mental illness, then they would be able to perform that particular work professionally in a better way, which is something they would not realize unless and until told, because they have that pressure of, they are scared of not doing that, not performing well. They're having that pressure of not losing their job maybe, and taking a sick leave, taking a leave, and they don't have that confidence to say that I'm not feeling good, and hence I won't be able to come to work, or I won't be able to finish this particular task assigned to me. So it is, yes, my job to encourage people to recognize that. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Dave. That concludes our initial round of intros and explanations of our 4 panelists. Now, for the 3 that are present now, we'll have a couple of moderated questions. Before I get to that, I did want Ibrahim to define part of what Dr. Mackey was talking about. So, Ibrahim, are you able to come on and define the word Mayfill?
Yeah, thank you so much for explaining the work we are doing, and I'm thankful to Dr. Mackey. The word was Mayfill. It's a kind of, originated from Arabic actually, and we typed as MEHFIL. That's Mayfill, and Dr. Dev can understand what Mayfill is, and some of our attendees. It's been festive. It's a kind of entertaining activities or parties we do have, or something like praising someone, like we used to have like in the shrines, saint shrines. It's a method for our from religious perspective. Yes, in our subcontinent we do have some multiple methods here in these regions, and it's happening in Arabic world around the world, but the words are different. Like Gaelic word is a different one, like Kelbi, and the method is in Urdu. And I'm going further about yes, that work, a sharing of culture between the communities is amazing. And from my background is archaeology, and I would be defining something like human nature from the ancient times, as we have seen, uh, the idea from where we get this academic research tools or techniques is from 4 decades ago. It was started a kind of sociological study of human emotions, and like as a sociologist, one of the researchers, Turner, defined like it's a kind of commitment. Emotions are commitments to others in face-to-face. I mean, face-to-face interactions are in groups, and they are a kind of driving force to build the social structures or tear down the structures we do have in our cultures. So these are the things, and two are the differences when we define human emotions in social sciences, like emotional nature of social activities, society, and the second is social nature of human emotions. These are the two different things. Like one is like fear. We do have a fear, like Dr. Deva explaining all those like personal things maybe. And the second is like work, genders, and organization. That's the social nature of emotions, like what related to it. And in archaeology, we do see, like Matilda was explaining in two keynote sessions about indigenous communities. Yeah, we do have and colonializations and decolonization perspectives in our museum industry. That's the points we do talk about, and we have very good record of human emotions history since the prehistory. You can find from the Stone Age, and we do have some publications from authentic researchers, and you can see some of the stories we have posted in past few days on our Instagram about the human emotions from Mesopotamia. And there was some stories like documented on the clay tablets. It was a kind of social nature of human emotions, like one of the father's son was kicked out of king's palace, and fathers went to the king, and he was like asking for mercy of the king to have him because he is going through some heartache, like very painful rejection from the palace. And that's the things like we do have very good record of human nature, human emotions and archaeological finds, and it's a like a vast topic to go through from the archaeological perspectives. And as we have seen, representation perspective in Zareen Gul presentation, she was defining something same like in Gandhara that we have here in subcontinent India and Pakistan. Gandhara, like it's a kind of civilization mostly we recognized by the Buddhist heritage, and it was a time when Buddhism was on having a golden age here, and it was a kind of philosophy and a kind of influences from the Greek art and architecture, because Alexander the Great was moving from north to south in those times. And we do have some influences and representations. I mean, as we have seen in the Zareen Gul's presentation, and I think that's would be enough to move on to quickly keep up our timings of these sessions. I hope I have defined the method very clearly. I would be looking forward to other speakers.
Thank you. Thank you for adding your insights. I'm very curious to hear, Dr. Mackey, what came to your mind when Dr. Dave was speaking about the emotions inside being evoked from what is built and the built environment. Thinking about your comment about Stonehenge and that those rocks came from a different place, and that this is a new or newer thought, is like we need to research like where these stones came from. I was curious if anything came to your mind. I'm sorry, Dr. Mackey, you are also muted.
I am like, I'm not an archaeologist. I'm not an archaeologist. So, and but I find I am skeptical about applying contemporary scientific knowledge to historical worlds, and the biases that are, inherent with our research today cannot account for. I just don't think that they can account for the conditions in which people were living and thinking and being in love and not being in love and building communities, and what their intentions were with what they were doing. So I just find it very difficult, and I'm not a psychologist either, so I don't want to venture into, I want to stay in my lane when it comes to, like, what do I think of psychology, because I don't want to go there. But like, understanding like the psychology of people historically seems impossible, when I feel like it's very difficult to understand the psychology of people today. But maybe Professor Dave could speak to that.
Yeah, Dave, did you want to? I guess same similar question to you. Like, does your comment about people responding to the built environment?
Well, it is like Becky said, that you can only assume how they would be thinking, but then the assumption can be based a little bit on how as a human race we are thinking right now, the thought process, the psychology of human beings right now. We see psychology or mind evolves from the experiences that we have had. There's something called behavioral conditioning, and that particular thing, the person that we are today, stems from the different experiences that we have had over the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years, depending on our age, since we were born. Similarly, consider the human race like that whatever as the human race we are living, we are doing, we are building, is based, we are thinking, is based on the base created by the previous generations, starting from the ancient times. As we move forward, there are certain rituals across different races, across different continents, which are there. They have no clue why they are there. They have no clue why they are not supposed to do something on that particular day, or why they are not supposed to behave in a certain way in certain particular area. But that's been there, and there's no logical explanation to it. But that is how they have been, because the experiences of the previous generations in that area, in that continent, in that culture, would have been something that would have made them decide that this should not be done by people. They would pass on the knowledge to the next generations, to the next generations. However, the complete knowledge wouldn't be passed down. There would not be an explanation as to why should we not do it like this. Why should we not do this particular thing? It's just not good, so don't do it. And hence, gradually we evolve, we grow on the base given to us by the previous generations. We move forward, we build on the experiences of our past generations. And psychology, I would say, evolves like that. So just on the basis of that, we can assume a little bit that how they've been thinking. But human beings, they love emotions. Us, we love emotion, we love feeling things. I'm not sure about how things actually work, but this is something, any product, any social media thing, any movie, anything is being sold, if and is sold, is successful if it generates certain kind of emotional reaction inside you. you should feel, if you're, let's say, watching a movie, if you're looking at a monument, if it makes you feel something, it becomes a significant thing. It becomes a significant movie, a good one or a bad one. But it should make you feel something. If you're watching a commercial advertisement of some brand on the television or somewhere, it should make you feel something, and that's what I think even the brands talk. So the things that we build are either the projection of our emotions on the sculptures, on stones, on everything, or when we look at them, we want to feel something. Otherwise, that particular thing becomes insignificant. That particular monument, no matter how old it is, no matter how significant it is, becomes insignificant. We, again, not an archaeologist, but we see. Tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. If you find something, you would want to know what does it mean. What did it mean to them? Why was it built? So what is its emotional significance to them? Why did they build this particular thing over there? What would this signify? So yes, we human beings, we love emotions, and we attach an emotional quotient, emotional value to everything that we see.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that can be taken in so many different directions. You're talking about movies or marketing ads or anything. At least I was always taught, you appeal to someone's emotions and that makes the connection.
Yeah.
I definitely, I like that. And it makes me think of Dr. Khan's slides, the amazing images of the mosques you were sharing. Dr. Khan, would you be able to speak about the aesthetic and the art role in these the emotions that are evoked from the mosques, and in particular the Wazir Khan Mosque?
Yes, of course. It was the feeling of, you may say, the devotion which is present in the inside of the creators that caused them to create such intricate designs. It was out of it was actually an emotional state, because when a person feels devoted to something, then he will work more devotedly. Like if we can recall Sistine Chapel, painted by Michelangelo, it was also emerged out of his emotional content of his inner self. So emotions are really very important, because there are two parts of humans, that is spirit and body. Body functions like a robot, and spirit is the at the back of every creativity. So if we minus a spiritual aspect of a person, then only a robot is left out. So the intricate designs, which are composed of floral patterns, geometric designs, and different techniques that they used. Of course, it emerged out of their devotional feelings. And devotion is, of course, part of an emotion.
Thank you. I so appreciate that.
Okay.
I see a hand raised. If there are any questions, if you will please drop them in the chat, if you'll comment them, to make a little smoother transition for question reading. I did want to bounce back to Dr. Mackey as we talk about emotions and kind of coming off of that with any sort of collective traumas and community mental health. Do you have input, or what would you share about some strategies that we can adapt for contemporary public health interventions?
I think I'm actually reading a book at the moment that talks about, and I'll maybe take this in a different direction from what you wanted me to do with the question, but a book about dealing with guilt in a nation, and in the context of global development. It's we're working. The British Empire is historically significant today, and it's still echoing through a lot of the power dynamics that we're working in. And I feel like moving away from the criminalization of these things is an interesting issue. And when people talk about decolonization, I find it intellectually, the debate is so broad that sometimes we aren't necessarily doing ourselves any favors in terms of figuring a way forward. And I know that we've talked about the word authenticity has been used a lot today. But the breadth of what can be determined as authentic, and moving away from like how states have defined indigenous groups today, and then again dealing with the collective trauma of being a victim and being the perpetrators. It's just really complicated, and sometimes a lot of my work is not about making recommendations, because I'm not sure. I feel like that's an inbuilt, quite egotistical part of academia, whereas I'm more interested in saying, like, this is the problem, in your communities, deal with it how you think is the best way forward. Like, how does your trauma manifest? How does your victimhood manifest? Like, deal with it on your own terms. That's my answer.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's would you mind putting the book in the chat? I'm very curious as to what that is. Sounds very interesting to me. Dr. Khan, our question from one of our attendees was asking for you to elaborate about the patterns of atomic model on the walls of the Wazir Khan Mosque. Would you be able to elaborate a little on that for us?
When I was doing this research, I read somewhere that some foreign scholars, they discussed that Muslim designs have chemical formulas in them. And when I was searching on it, I found out that five-fold symmetry, five-pointed designs are very difficult to spread with continuity on any place because gaps emerge. We do find six-pointed tiles, four-sided tiles, but five-sided tiles are very rare. So they from mostly it is attributed to Roger Penrose, whereas in Muslim designs, almost 3 centuries or 4 centuries prior to the modern era, they had developed this five-fold symmetry in their designs, and people found out that they took it from the alloys of metals. When different metals are joined together, this type of designs emerged, and they solved this formula out of that. But it was a time when it was not easy to mix two metals and make the alloys, or to get those alloys or the atoms visible. But still, they formulated such type of designs. And when I studied that research, then I started finding out or searching different Muslim designs. And during my research of the Wazir Khan Mosque, I found a design which was very similar to the Bohr's atomic model. And if I have placed unfortunately, the last slide was left blank. It was not attached with the audio. A little bit was played and the rest was lost. So the design, if the design is in front of me, I would have explained it, because it is very much similar to the design of the Bohr's atomic model. And it is placed on the entrance portal of the mosque, on the flanking windows. On the tops of flanking windows, this type of design is present. Now it needs more research, whether it is an accidental representation or whether the Muslim artists, they were familiar with this type of model. Because Muslim science at that time was at a very, at its peak in the, even in the medieval era, which is medieval for the West, it was a Muslim science was at its peak. So they would have discovered many things. But this design might be accidental or out of the brilliant brains of those artists, because they were not only designers, they were mathematicians, they were geometricians, they were theologians. So knowledge at the time was not bifurcated because there was not school system, there was madrasa system. And in madrasa, a student was not taught one subject or another. He was taught many things at a time. It was like apprenticeship. So they might have studied this type of science as well, or it is an accidental design. It needs to be explored more. More research is required. But it is true that chemical formulas exist in many of the Muslim designs, like stalactite formations. Thank you.
That's fascinating. Thank you, Dr. Khan. I appreciate your elaboration. We are winding down on time, believe it or not. So I wanted to say a very deep thank you and gratitude to our three present presenters and to Zarin Gul for submitting her items as well. Real briefly, before we hop off for another break, I did want to just remind you that we have 2 more sessions today. So there will be a 20-minute break, and then session 2 and a 20-minute break, and then session 3. And so in our last few minutes, I would love just final thoughts from our 3 panelists about anything that you feel should be said or hasn't been said yet, or if you would like to just provide us that one final thought. And let's do like a minute and a half because we are almost out of time. And we look like we're deep in thought. So I'm going to give you a minute to see if anybody looks prepared and ready. Okay, great. Thank you.
From what Dr. Khan said about people being trained in different practices and coming from, geometry and artistic backgrounds and different things like that. Like I think in our hyper professional, society right now, we don't have broad enough knowledges across disciplines. And I think there's consequences to that. I don't know about psychology, but I know that I need to know about it. But my professional field doesn't require me to know about it. And I think my professional field is then weakened because of, these blind spots in our knowledge. And so just to say on that, like, thank you for this, because I think, I go to sociology conferences, I don't hear psychologists, I don't hear artists. So it's interesting to hear what they're thinking and talking about in their respective fields in another country. So it's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In the modern era, again, multidisciplinary researches are being promoted. It is because of this background. Multidisciplinary researches are now promoted.
Same thing like Dr. Mackey and Dr. Khan said. It is an amazing platform that people from different disciplines from different countries have come together to discuss about something that's significant. So yes, it's something we should keep doing, and that would bring about a lot of new beautiful things. So yes, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you all so very much. I will invite Max back on if she's still with us. She might not be. Ibrahim, did you have anything you would like to?
Yeah, I think it's quite late over there in Australia. And I would be like to say, yes, they have said everything and they have stolen all the words I have because my discipline is something like borrowed from everyone. Like archaeology is like when we come to the physics and chemistry. And when we're doing research like theories and things like that, we go to actors disciplines like sociology. And I would say thanks to everyone. It was really inspiring and something like a popularized version of science, something like a knowledge that we hardly hear in our traditional conferences. But I was trying to convey in our keynote that our talk is something like where we can have everyone. Like it doesn't matter they are like professionals or they are not, or they are some indigenous artists or like someone who want to talk about something like culture. So yeah, it's quite difficult to hear and like to explain that it's quite difficult to see something in our academic conferences because they define common sense as something like opposed to scientific reflections. So normally common sense is something like we used to share in our daily life, in our daily conversations, and we want to make it something like conversation style. And I hope to see in the coming 2 sessions. And we continue this. Thanks to everyone being here. It was
And
really,
Abraham,
really
I've got to tell you something. Mehfil is such a beautiful Urdu word. I don't think there's this exact translation in English for that word. It's such an amazing word. Suppose it's not just a party or something. It's something else altogether. Yeah.
That is why transliteration is also very important, so that the proper pronunciation
Right.
of a word other than our own language could be maintained.
Right.
But we also don't want to translate it because we know it can't be translated.
Yes, there are
I'm
many
sorry.
words that cannot be translated. So
Yeah,
transliteration, I am talking about transliteration, that is
Yeah.
keeping the same word in the other language as well, so that those people can pronounce it correctly. That is
Yeah.
a method of transliteration.
Yeah.
Not translation.
With the project, we're trying to, we want people to experience it rather than translate it. That's the
I would
plan.
like to come up and say like Dr. Dave joined us very late and you missed the part we were talking about when Dr. Actor was explaining the project. Actually, I would revise some few words for him. That there is a project, is a kind of research-based project and a cultural sharing project that we are going to start in the coming months, and it would be like a kind of having gatherings.
Mehfil.
And it's a kind of sharing culture through gatherings, mixing with the people to learn about their life, like visitors do or tourists do, but they don't do what we are going to do. It's a kind of something like innovative way. So yeah, Mehfil is quite difficult because Mehfil can be sometimes religious and sometimes it's different one. So it means it's a festive gathering. So that's fine for us. So we are moving to session 2, Kathy.
Yes, so it looks like we are just a minute before the top of the hour, which means we are going to have a break for 20 minutes. So we do hope that you will come back and join us for session 2, which is about artificial intelligence and cultural heritage. We have 3 speakers that will present and answer questions, very similar format to this session. We've got Sumaira Gulzar. And you know what? My other pages aren't loading. Let me switch tabs. Rebecca Hopkin and Isabella Grasselli. So it is the top of the hour now. So take 20 minutes. You're welcome to